Welcome back. It's Monday Night Football, and the Chicago Bears are facing the Minnesota Vikings for the second time this season. We're going to take a look at Bears wide receiver Keenan Allen and what we can expect from him tonight. Keenan Allen's first season in Chicago after a trade from the Chargers got off to a bit of a slow start. He seems to have found his footing in recent weeks, though. What do you think is behind that improvement, and is it sustainable?
Allen's slow start was partly due to adjusting to a new team, a new quarterback, and a new offensive system. He also missed some time early in the season with a heel injury. In recent weeks, we have seen him build chemistry with quarterback Justin Fields and become more comfortable in the offense. He had a particularly strong game against these same Vikings a few weeks ago.
Right, he had 9 catches for 86 yards and a touchdown in that game. So he's clearly capable of putting up big numbers against this Vikings defense. Speaking of that Vikings game a few weeks ago, Allen also had a heel injury then, but he seems to be over that now.
That's correct. He is expected to play tonight and is not listed on the injury report.
That's good news for the Bears, who are already dealing with some key injuries on offense. Running back Roschon Johnson is out again this week with a concussion, and fellow running back DeAndre Swift is questionable with a quad injury. How do these injuries impact the Bears' offensive game plan and Allen's role specifically?
With Johnson and potentially Swift out the Bears will likely rely more heavily on the passing game. This could mean more targets for Allen, especially if the Vikings focus on shutting down DJ Moore, who has been the Bears' #1 receiver. Allen is a savvy route runner with good hands, and he can be a reliable target for Fields in clutch situations.
Let's dig a little deeper into Allen's performance this season. He's had some good games and some quiet ones. What are his overall stats, and what do they tell us about his role in this offense?
In 11 games this season, Allen has 47 receptions for 471 yards and 5 touchdowns. As you mentioned, he has primarily been the secondary receiver behind DJ Moore. However, his production has been fairly consistent, and he has shown he can be a threat in the red zone.
That consistency is important, especially given the Bears' struggles this season. They are currently 4-9, and their playoff hopes are all but extinguished. But the offense has shown signs of life in recent weeks. Do you see Allen playing a key role in their efforts to finish the season strong?
Absolutely. Even though the playoffs are unlikely, the Bears are still playing for pride and for their future. They want to build momentum for next season and show that they are heading in the right direction. Allen is a veteran presence on this team, and his leadership and experience are valuable. I expect him to continue to be a reliable target for Fields and to make plays when they need him most.
We know that Allen can be a productive receiver when he's healthy and in the right system. What are some of the key factors that will determine his success tonight against the Vikings?
The Vikings' defense has been vulnerable to wide receivers this season. They have given up significant yardage and touchdowns to opposing wide receivers. This could be a favorable matchup for Keenan Allen.
Can you elaborate on the Vikings' defensive struggles against wide receivers? What are some specific examples of their vulnerabilities?
In their previous game against the Detroit Lions, they allowed Amon-Ra St. Brown to have over 100 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. In another game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they gave up 3 touchdowns to Mike Evans.
That sounds concerning for the Vikings. What are the key factors that have contributed to these struggles?
Their secondary has struggled in coverage, particularly their cornerbacks. They have also not been generating consistent pressure with their pass rush. This allows opposing quarterbacks more time to find their receivers downfield.
Given those defensive issues, it seems like Allen has a good chance to have another strong performance against them. How do you think the Vikings will approach defending him and DJ Moore?
They may try to double-team Moore, who is the Bears' primary receiving threat. This could open up opportunities for Allen, especially if he can win his one-on-one matchups. The Vikings also have a talented safety in Harrison Smith, who could be tasked with shadowing Allen. It will be interesting to see how the Vikings adjust their defensive scheme to try to contain both receivers.
If the Vikings do focus on taking away Moore and Allen, who else on the Bears' offense could step up?
Tight end Cole Kmet has been a reliable target for Justin Fields all season.
Okay.
He could see an increase in targets if the Vikings dedicate extra coverage to the wide receivers. Kmet is a big physical target with good hands, and he is a threat in the red zone.
Kmet is a good reminder that the Bears do have other offensive weapons beyond their top 2 receivers. What about the running game? With Roschon Johnson out and DeAndre Swift potentially limited, how effective can the Bears be on the ground?
It will be tough without Johnson, who has emerged as a solid starting running back. Swift is explosive, but his injury history is a concern. If he's not at 100%, the Bears may struggle to establish a consistent running game.
So a lot could depend on Justin Fields and his ability to make plays in the passing game. How has Fields performed against the Vikings in the past, and what are your expectations for him tonight?
Fields had a solid game against the Vikings a few weeks ago, throwing for over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also showed his ability to extend plays with his legs rushing for over 50 yards. The key for Fields will be to avoid turnovers and to make quick decisions. The Vikings have a talented defensive front, and they will be looking to pressure him.
You mentioned the Vikings pass rush earlier. How do you think the Bears' offensive line will hold up against it?
The Bears' offensive line has been inconsistent this season. They have struggled at times to protect Fields. The Vikings have Danielle Hunter and Zadarius Smith, who are both proven pass rushers. It will be a tough challenge for the Bears' offensive line to keep them out of the backfield.
It sounds like this matchup could come down to whether the Bears can protect Fields long enough for him to find his receivers. Specifically, how do you see Keenan Allen's route running and ability to create separation playing a factor against this Vikings defense?
Allen is known for his precise route running and his ability to find soft spots in zone coverage. He's not the fastest receiver, but he is very crafty and understands how to leverage his strengths. Against the Vikings cornerbacks, I think Allen will be able to create enough separation to get open, especially if they are preoccupied with DJ Moore.
Let's shift gears for a moment and talk about the broader context of this game. As we mentioned, the Bears are 4-9 and out of playoff contention. What are the stakes for them in this game, and how does that impact their approach?
Even though the playoffs are out of reach, the Bears still have plenty to play for. They want to finish the season strong, build momentum for next year, and evaluate their players. For a young team like the Bears, every game is an opportunity to learn and improve.
And for Keenan Allen specifically, what are some of the individual goals or milestones he might be looking to achieve in these final weeks of the season?
At this stage of his career, Allen is focused on staying healthy and producing at a high level. He's also a leader in the wide receiver room, and he wants to help mentor the younger players. I'm sure he'd love to have another 1,000-yard season, but I think his primary focus is on contributing to the team's success.
So regardless of the Bears' record, we can expect Allen to play with intensity and purpose tonight. Before we wrap up, I want to get your final prediction for his performance. How many catches, yards, and touchdowns do you think he'll have against the Vikings?
It's tough to predict exact numbers, but I think Allen will have a productive game. I'll say he finishes with 7 catches for 80 yards and a touchdown.
That sounds reasonable given his recent form and the matchup. Any final thoughts on Allen or this Bears-Vikings game before we sign off?
I think this game will be a good test for the Bears offense. The Vikings have a talented defense, and it will be interesting to see how Justin Fields and company respond. I'm looking forward to seeing Keenan Allen compete, and I think he'll be a key factor in determining the outcome.
I agree. I'm excited to see how this game unfolds. Thanks for joining me for this breakdown of Keenan Allen and the Bears-Vikings matchup.
It was a pleasure.
It has been a great discussion. Thank you for your insights.
It was a pleasure to be here.
Goodbye, and see you in the next video.